Welcome to NWEA Basics for Teachers, the class report. I'll be sharing my screen with you. Going to be specifically looking at the summary section of the class report. You should have by now gotten to this page. You used the option settings from the main page and chose the class report and the correct options. So now we've come to the class report. It will be several different pages. We're going to be concentrating in this part of the tutorial specifically on the class summary. So this area up at the top tells the name of the teacher and the class that you're looking at, tells the term rostered and term tested, verifies the district, the school, the normed reference data, which is currently from 2015, and gives the weeks of instruction that the students had up to this point. In this case, it was a spring test, so there were 32 weeks of instruction. We're looking specifically, although this is Mr. Reband's mathematics class, we're looking at the reading scores for the students in his math class. We'll notice that he had 26 students with a valid test score. We're going to look and see that they had at the mean and the median RIT, and just take a second to think about which of those might be more accurate for a class of 26 people. You know, generally we look at the mean RIT because it's the arithmetic mean, but in this case we're going to be concentrating on the median. The median is much less influenced by outliers, so if you have a very high or a very low student, it won't show up as much, and so you can get a better idea of where your median student is or your average student. In this case, there is quite a bit of difference in Mr. Reband's class between 236.7 and 234, and again, we're going to concentrate on the median of 234. Going to look in a moment at standard deviation, so we'll come back to that. Comparing Mr. Reband's median RIT of 234 with the district grade level mean RIT, there's about 3.5 points difference there. And for a district level, the mean RIT, it's a large enough sample that outliers don't affect it as much. So we will look at the mean RIT for the district. He's got 10 students who are at or above the district mean RIT. We're going to look also and focus very much on the norm grade level mean RIT throughout the nation. In this case, the norm grade level mean RIT is 220.1. So Mr. Reband's class is definitely ahead of the charts in reading. And he's got 24 students who are at or above that norm grade level mean RIT. I said we'd talk about standard deviation. Standard deviation is a mathematical measure of the variability or the range or how much alike and how different your students are as far as their skill sets. In this case, Mr. Reband's class has a 13.1 standard deviation. Here are some numbers you may want to write down and consider. In general, if the standard deviation is 0 to 10, your students are very much on the same level, and they will benefit from whole class normal instruction. If they had a 0 standard deviation, that would mean that they're all exactly alike, and everybody would be on exactly the same page, and we know that's not going to happen. So 0 to 10, they're somewhat similar, and so they will benefit from whole class instruction for the most part. Between 10 and 14, they will benefit somewhat from some differentiation depending on what the topics are. And it's kind of a teacher choice on that. When you know your students, you know from formative assessments where they are, and you know how they're performing and whether they took the test seriously. Anything above a 14, you've got some students who do not fit within the average or with everybody else. They may be much higher or they might be much lower, and either way there's going to need to be, to help them grow effectively, you need to be planning some differentiated instruction of some sort. So again, 0 to 10 whole class instruction, 10 to 14 teacher choice, and above 14 look for some differentiated activities to support each of your students' growth. Check back again in the next video for hearing more about how to look at the overall performance that we'll be seeing.